Happy Thursday, everyone. Episode 44 of Pinstripe Press. Yankees are 15-10. Just dropped a series to the Guardians, but been a busy week for the Yanks. Busy week.
Yeah, absolutely. No days off since we last talked to you guys, and the Yankees are doing pretty well. I believe we have a 7-3 record in our last 10, and yeah, everything looking pretty good for the most part. Obviously, nothing will ever be perfect, so we'll get into some of the struggles that the team has had, but all in all, I think the team is looking good. One of the top 5 teams in baseball, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we talked about it last episode, like looking at the standings. Obviously, they started the season rough with the NL, but they're 15-10 and they're tied for the best record in the American League. So yeah, I mean you can't get too mad. Like the season's still very young, but obviously there's a ton of frustrating things we've seen so far. Out of the Yankees, I think what they've so in that and since we last talked, they've obviously faced the Royals, swept them there. A pretty good series. Obviously, the Royals haven't been playing their best ball. Carrasco had a good outing. Fried obviously had a great outing again. That was, he let's talk about Fried a little bit. I mean, he's what now 4-0, 1.42 ERA. Man, he's been great.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's sitting. Yeah, he's sitting in that like 1.5 to 2 ERA range, and yeah, he's really been phenomenal. He's showing that run prevention style that we're used to with him when he was with Atlanta, and we've seen outings with him where he's getting outs via the swing and miss. I believe he had that 11 strikeout game, and then obviously in his one of his recent outings. I'm not sure if don't remember if it's his most recent, but he's flirting with that no hit bid, and got into the 8th inning, having given up no hits, and yeah, so he was kind of just cruising through that Rays lineup, and we're seeing him get outs in plenty of different ways, and yeah, he's been spectacular. Obviously, a great fill-in as an ace for when we don't have Garrett Cole.
Yeah, it'd be nice, man, if we had Garrett Cole just to see, how this would work because when we got Rodon, this is what we were hoping. We'd hope he'd be pitching these lights out performances next to Garrett Cole. So it's like we haven't really gotten to see like two high level starters like that. But I mean, right now, which we could go into him as well, is Rodon has been he's stepped up. Honestly, these past 2 outings, but you look at his stat sheet and. He went like 3 games with 4 runs given up, 5 runs given up, 4 runs given up. And, obviously, if you were watching those games, they came late. He just totally collapsed. So, I mean, honestly, like, I feel like I can't hate on Carlos Rodon so far. He's low in his ERA. His last outing, he went versus Cleveland, which was yesterday. 7 innings, 4 hits only given up, no runs, 8 strikeouts. So it's like, man, if – it seems like Fried and Rodon right now, the 1 and 2 punch right now, he's kind of figuring out so far.
Yeah, and we kind of hinted at this with Rodon. I mean, he had some struggles, obviously, but he was, honestly still looking pretty good. He was struggling with the walks and home runs. But when, he's still, giving up a couple walks in his last couple of outings, but when you can do that and then limit the damage that comes afterwards, by not giving up the home run or not giving up, a bunch of, hits in a row, then, yeah, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. He's been looking pretty lights out, getting a lot of strikeouts, really, and, getting to that 6 inning mark most of the time, which is definitely useful when we have some performances out of our starting pitching where we require, a bunch of innings out of the bullpen. So, yeah, Rodon has been great as well. Hopefully he can keep these things up. I believe he's got his ERA down into the threes, perhaps.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. If he could, we need him because starting pitching right now is, outside of them two is really hurting. I mean, obviously, Warren had a great outing last game, but outside of that, the one outing he couldn't even go. What he didn't finish one inning, or he went one and he didn't, or I don't think he went.
Warren was 1 2/3.
Yeah. So it's like I don't know, like him and Carrasco, and then I mean Schmidt. Schmidt didn't look great. I mean, it's like the same. Seems like we have the same story with him. I know he's coming back from injury, but he's. So I don't know what the revamp process is right now, but I don't know. It's like he's honestly looked like how he usually has. Doesn't go far into innings, and I mean it was just a rough outing. But I guess I won't put any like pressure or like criticize him because he is coming back, but it's just the back end of that rotation is not great. So we really need Fried and Rodon to continue to pitch at the level they are. Honestly,
Yeah, and um, I think Schmidt will get back to his self. I mean, obviously, he's not going to pitch to a 7.5 ERA for the rest of the season. He's had 2 starts and hasn't looked terrible. He kind of just got hit around by the Guardians, who have good bat to ball skills, and obviously he wasn't super sharp that day. But yeah, he got hit around quite a bit, gave up quite a few runs, and then we had to get, I believe, 5 innings out of the bullpen. So but yeah, Clark, I mean, he has shown some strikeout capabilities since he's been back. And I'm not super worried about him. And I think the rotation could be a decent surprise for the future. But obviously, you have to keep in mind that we've got Carrasco in this rotation, and we'll likely see the games out of him. It could be every other game where he's not really hitting his spots and giving up walks and then getting hit. So that could happen. And then obviously the Warren inconsistency as well. So you've got those two who have shown some outings where they've been great and others where they haven't. But that's why the top three really need to step up. And so far they have been.
yeah. I mean, so yeah, obviously they're starting to get into the AL play right now, and they swept the Royals. They took the Rays series um, in Tampa or at
in Tampa.
in Tampa at Steinbrenner
Steinbrenner.
Field. And I mean they lost that Guardian series, but again, I mean that was Schmidt's poor outing, and I honestly feel like the game yesterday, it kind of, you're kind of refreshed a little bit. It was a nice outing from Rodon. Yankees got a clean win, and you kind of like almost forgot about the first two games, and you're on to the next series. But there's been it's just again the inconsistency between this lineup, and that kind of leads me into kind of maybe like it's a segment here, but kind of like trust or don't trust. And I kind of want to like go through some players. I know we kind of did some ranking sort of in one of our recent episodes, but let's see if do you trust these guys or do you not trust these guys so far? Starting with obviously Aaron Judge.
Oh, come on. Yeah, obviously this is a trust. I mean, this guy is batting over 400 this late into the season. On base percentage around a 500. Like he's unbelievable. In my opinion, the best right-handed hitter the game has ever seen. He's just unbelievable. Obviously you got to trust him in all scenarios. He can do everything.
Yeah, no comments on that, man. Video game numbers for him, it's insane. trust or don't trust Cody Bellinger?
Um, if I had to say right now, probably a not. I don't trust him. Yeah, I mean, obviously he hasn't had a good start to the season, um, and it won't be this bad for the rest of the season. But yeah, I don't know. He's just striking out way too much. The thing I liked out of him, in the past couple of seasons with the Cubs is his ability to stay in counts, and even get hits with in two strike counts. We haven't seen too much of that so far, and he looks pretty vulnerable to the off speed pitch. Um, yeah, I just think if this continues, we're going to see a lot more of Aaron Judge being walked, and obviously we don't want that. We want protection behind him. So yeah, and Cody Bellinger, there is potential where he sits around that 700 OPS mark by the end of the season, which isn't great.
Yeah, I think I saw something about. I don't say it might have been Boone. Aaron Boone might have said it. Was he talking about how like Bellinger's at bats haven't been terrible, and he's kind of got
Well,
unlucky. I mean, obviously,
he'll say that about anyone. I mean, I don't know specifically what you're referring to, but he'd say that about anyone.
yeah, I guess take that with a grain of salt. But I thought I saw it. He was like, "Oh, he was, he's getting unlucky." I don't know. We need Bellinger to get going, and I don't know. It's so early, I guess. But obviously, I mean, because you look at him, and then we can talk about Goldschmidt because, like, man, like, got to show appreciation to him because, dude, he is like, he's on fire right now. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's been a monster. I mean, obviously not hitting homers. Only has one, but that's the on base machine that we need. He's been unbelievable. He's finding ways to get hits in every scenario. Or not the hardest hit balls, but he's finding the gaps, hitting liners, that get into the outfield. And yeah, he's been unbelievable. Obviously, also showing his defensive prowess at first base.
yeah, it seems like he like kind of like I know like he had a bad year last year, first half, but second half he said he figured it out. So it's like it almost seems like he's like adjusted, like he's like fully adjusted his game to like try to keep it up to date with how the game is right now. Like, so he's not getting as the home runs as you usually see from Paul Goldschmidt. He's just tagging on hits, and we love it. But that leads into the bottom of the order. He's doing all this. We're getting on base. It's like, but the bottom of the order is just not producing, and that leads me into my next guy. You know, trust or don't trust Jazz Chisholm.
I
Let me
I'd
tie
have to
them both.
say,
Let me tie them both in together. Jazz Chisholm and Anthony Volpe, the middle infield.
yeah, I'd have to say don't trust at the plate. Anthony Volpe's been so frustrating. I really I really don't know what to think because you could say, well, yeah, he's still young and whatever, he's having these issues, he could work things out, but this is his third season, and yeah, I mean, you're getting into the part of his career where he really needs to start establishing himself as, a really, at least like a league average hitter. Um, but he has these long stretches where he just isn't, and he's worse than that. He's striking out way too much. Um, and yeah, we even saw it against the Rays. He couldn't really catch up to the fastball, which is concerning as well. And then you move on to Jazz, another guy who's striking out even more. Obviously, he has a ton of homers, but if half of your hits are homers on the season, this late into the season, I you got to worry about his contact skills. I really don't know. I don't trust them right now. Obviously, in the future, they could get on a couple of hot streaks and prove me wrong. But right now, I just don't trust them.
I Yeah, I don't blame you. I mean, Jazz and Volpe both obviously lead the team right now in strikeouts. Jazz at 33, Volpe at 31. So not great. I don't. I Yeah, frustration. Like that's all. That's all you can say. And I guess like I feel like it's gotta be. You think it's more concerning? Are you more concerned with the Jazz or with the Volpe?
Um, I'd say Volpe probably. I mean, I think Jazz has definitely been worse
Yeah.
overall this season, but Jazz I'd say is a little bit more established as a major league player, and um, he's still walking a little bit and obviously showing some power as well. Uh, I think he could definitely start working things out. I just don't know about Volpe. Um, if he'll ever get to the potential that we saw in him when he was coming up in 23. Yeah, I don't know. I think we kind of know what he is as a hitter right now, which just isn't great.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Volpe's career so far with the Yanks. I mean, his rookie year he had 209. Last year he had 243. I mean, obviously he had a good postseason. He had 286. And then obviously right now he's hitting a buck 98. But I guess you be patient. But I just asked that question because I agree. I think it's definitely Volpe. It's more pressure, and you should definitely be more concerned because they view Volpe in like their long term plans. He's supposed to be the franchise shortstop for right now, and I mean honestly, he's not playing. He's not playing great, but I mean, I guess I don't know. Like you can't. You gotta get past like the playoff. I mean, it is great that he played well in the postseason, but if you look at it from a whole, like I mean, for a guy who's supposed to be like a contact guy, doesn't steal that often, and he's hitting below league average. He's in the low 200, so it's like supposed to be a contact guy, a speed guy, yet you're just not doing any of that. So it's definitely frustrating for sure. And,
Yeah, we've seen stretches out of him,
mhm.
in prior seasons where he's been a machine, on base machine, similar to what we're seeing out of Paul Goldschmidt right now. But those stretches are few and far between. So he needs to become a lot more consistent in that regard.
Yeah. This last one, you might know where I'm going. Definitely, probably the talk. One of the big major headlines right now for the Yankees. Devin Williams. Do you trust him or do you not trust him right now?
I still trust him. Obviously, he had the most recent blow up in the Rays series after his rough start to the season. Then he had, I believe it was 4 straight scoreless outings, which were pretty clean. And then, yeah, he gives up, 4 runs to blow the game against the Rays. I don't know what else to say other than he's a fantastic closer. He's been one of the best closers in the league for the past 5 years or so. So I don't see why that should change this year. It's for a reliever, it's still such a small sample size because they don't pitch as many innings, obviously. And you look at the kind of contact that he was giving up in that Rays game. It was a couple of infield hits and then a soft liner. Getting I'd say somewhat unlucky. Obviously, you want to see more swing and miss stuff out of him, but right now, I don't think it's like he's getting absolutely shelled. I think he'll be just fine. And for people who are saying that Luke Weaver should be the closer, I at this point in time that just won't happen. You can't do that. Devin Williams is great.
Yeah, you gotta still show that you trust. Um, you trust Williams to be the closer. You traded for him, so you got to keep his confidence up there. And I think he'll figure it out too. It's like a lot of these guys, like Bellinger, they're new to the team. The season just started, so once they start getting going, um, I think they'll be fine. And if man, like if the rest of the like you look at the rest of the bullpen, like honestly, it's been pretty good. Um, Tim Hill's been pretty good. Obviously, Fernando Cruz's stuff is really good right now. Obviously, you got Weaver, like you talked about, and then Hamilton. Like honestly, I low-key like the. I'm kind of liking the bullpen right now.
Yeah, the bullpen's been great. Yeah, obviously recently adding Tyler Matzik, so that's another lefty arm in the pen, with Yarbrough and Hill. Um, and yeah, I think, yeah, like you said, Fernando Cruz has been fantastic. Easily um, an amazing setup man in this league now. You got a 1-2 punch of him and Weaver as your setup men, and then you've got Devin Williams, who will work things out and become one of the best closers in the game. That back end of the bullpen is, really good. And then Tim Hill, you can go to him in situations against lefties, and you can trust him to get outs. When he was performing well last year, I didn't know how to feel because he'd obviously struggled a lot on his previous teams in previous couple of years. But now that he's continuing this, he did it throughout the playoffs and now doing it into this season. I know you can rely on him to get those outs, especially against lefties. He is fearless. And then you talk about Mark Leiter. He's been really good as well. He's just been another really solid arm. I don't think he's been as good as Cruz, but for him to be one of your middle relievers is really solid as well. And then you've got guys like Yarbrough who can eat up some innings in case of some short starters outings. And yeah, that's not even to mention Ian Hamilton or Jonathan Loaizaga, who's still injured.
Yeah, it's definitely been a bright spot. So then let me ask you this. So if you were to rank from the bullpen, the rotation, and then the lineup from a lot of confidence to like the least amount of confidence right now, where would you rank 1 through 3?
I'm definitely most confident in the bullpen. Even with Devin Williams having his struggles, I think we'll have the ability to close out these games, and we've done it most of the time. Obviously, we had the situation with the blown game with Williams coming in against the Rays, but that hasn't happened much this season, and it'll only get better in my opinion. So I definitely trust the bullpen the most. And then moving on to number 2, I'd probably say the lineup. I know it's been iffy. I know that, especially the back end of the lineup. But, I think we're still producing runs at a pretty decent rate. And when you have Aaron Judge in your lineup, along with a couple other guys that are performing really well right now, I think you can still trust them to put up enough runs, especially with our bullpen, in order to get these wins. And then finally, it'll be the rotation. I'm not saying I don't trust them. It's just it's still definitely not ideal to have Carlos Carrasco and Will Warren, both of them in your rotation. I don't think you can rely on them to go out there and give you great outings every single time. And yeah, there's still, although he has had a couple good outings in a row, I don't know how much you can like fully trust Carlos Rodon because he still has those moments where he blows up and gives up homers. And then obviously Clark Schmidt coming back from the injury.
Yeah, it's doesn't doesn't equal well for the back end of the rotation, especially when like 5 through 9 and the lineup's not hitting well. Um, so it's hopefully things get figured out. I mean, what Yankees are 15-10. I really think they're honestly playing really true to like who they are right now. They're taking series, and we know the AL is not stronger than the NL. Um, but it's just back end of the rotation isn't great, and honestly, the back end of the lineup isn't great right now. I mean, luckily, well, because you look, it's like, man, Ben Rice is playing insane right now. Like one, what if he keeps it up? Then that's another question that's is going to be asked like later on the season, because there's a lot of possibilities could happen with that. But like two, it's like he's young. Can he keep this up? Because like if not, then it's like, okay, that's another guy added to the list that's just not performing well. So it's just, I don't know. I hope that they can figure it out. I think they will. I really do think it's like the AL is just not that strong, and I think that could help them. That will help them a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, and you said it. We got the 15-10 record, and we're having these struggles. I think that puts us still on pace for almost 100 wins. So, yeah, I think things should get better out of the lineup and out of Devin Williams. So, if those things can happen, I think we'll definitely be in a good spot, a much better spot down the line.
Yeah, it's just I was just thinking like, man, the bullpen pitching well. I mean, how many years now have we seen like right at the start of the year the bullpen pitches well, but like everyone else doesn't. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, they got the deadline. Like, I really think it just depends on how you're playing around the deadline. Like, I hope, but this team needs to make some acquisitions come the deadline. So I mean, I don't know, but we got ways away for that. It's start of the year, man. 15-10, Yankees first in the division right now. I mean, Judge is playing insane. Like, we're literally watching one of the best players um, that we've seen in years. So it's and Goldie, man, 385, dude. They both lead the average right now.
Yeah.
We'll see though. They just got to keep it up. What they got? Blue Jays coming up.
Yep, got a few AL East teams coming up. Got the Blue Jays, then the Orioles in Baltimore, and then back home to face the Rays once again.
We'll see you around those stretch of games.
Yep.
Go Yanks.
Peace.